It all started on a rainy Tuesday in Seattle. Marcus and I were curled up in my loft apartment, sharing a takeout box of spicy crab legs and watching an old maritime horror documentary. On screen, a giant, terrifying kraken was pulling a ship into the abyss. Marcus, a brilliant 29-year-old software architect who usually possessed the emotional range of a spreadsheet, suddenly looked over at me with an intense, unblinking gaze. "Elena," he asked, his voice tighter than usual. "If I wasn't entirely from around here, if I were different from other men, would you still love me?" I was half asleep, so I just chuckled. "Of course, babe. You're my guy." He practically deflated with relief, pulling me into a crushing, desperate hug, burying his face in my neck like a lost seal. I hugged him back, but my mind started wandering. "If you're a monster, you better be a cool one. Like a werewolf or a dragon. Just please don't be some slimy, deep-sea abomination. Just promise me you aren't a giant squid," I joked. Marcus went entirely rigid. His already pale, olive complexion drained to an ash gray. "What's wrong with sea creatures? Aren't they fascinating? Apex predators of the deep. They're just oversized, rubbery bait," I said, entirely serious. "And they're creepy. They can survive the crushing pressure of the Mariana Trench. They have 3 hearts and are incredibly intelligent," he argued desperately. 3 hearts of pure slime. That's worse. He wouldn't let it go. "They can camouflage perfectly. They blend into any environment. Regular people could never catch them." "Exactly. Slimy cowards. They have no bones. They can escape any trap. A simple sharp hook or a fishing net catches them. Seems pretty weak to me." Marcus looked completely offended. "How is a massive industrial fishing net weak? Anyone would get caught in that." Watching him aggressively defend cephalopods, a light bulb suddenly went off in my head. "Wait. Are you?" he gasped, looking guilty. "A marine biology fan?" I, he stuttered. I let it drop. Marcus was a bit eccentric, sure, but he was mostly normal. Actually, he was devastatingly handsome in a sharp, oceanic-eyed sort of way, even if he was secretly a giant child. He would play rock, paper, scissors with me for 30 minutes just to decide who had to answer the door for the Amazon delivery. But after that night, his pro-ocean propaganda became relentless. "You know, octopuses can squeeze into tiny spaces, and you love compact things," he'd say over breakfast. "Plus, they find sunken pirate treasure. They're technically loaded." One evening, tired of the weirdly specific pitches, I set down my iPad and looked him dead in the eyes. "Marcus, are you hiding something from me?" He froze, his eyes darting to the corner of the room. "No. You never blink when you lie, you know that?" He hadn't known. Suddenly, he started blinking rapidly, like a malfunctioning traffic light. I didn't press him, mostly because a wave of realization suddenly crashed over me. We had been dating for nearly a year. He never planned dates at the beach during low tide. He refused to touch my homemade sea salt caramels or any food cooked with heavy iodized salt, staying completely out of the kitchen. He never took selfies. Whenever I tried to snap a photo of him, the lens would warp, leaving only a distorted, watery shimmer where his face should be. His skin was always freezing, not like a normal chill, but like deep ocean ice. And under the bright office lights at our firm, he didn't cast a solid shadow, just a faint, rippling pattern, like sunlight reflecting off the bottom of a swimming pool. My heart ached. This idiot. Think of how hard it must have been for him to pretend to be a normal human tech bro. He had literally gone on a deep-sea fishing excursion with my dad, secretly nauseous the whole time, hiding under a massive brimmed hat claiming a severe allergy to marine mist. I decided to play along and keep his secret. Until I got a gold ankle bracelet. My sudden obsession with ankle jewelry came from a fashion blog. The delicate gold chain caught the light beautifully, and I thought it looked incredibly chic. Marcus, however, was vehemently against it. "Your ankles are perfectly fine without heavy metals dragging them down," he muttered, looking strangely stressed. "It's just a decorative chain, Marcus. What's the big deal? It adds unnecessary mass. It could affect your hydrodynamics." He flushed a deep, unnatural crimson and abruptly walked away. Naturally, I bought it anyway, a beautiful, heavy, 24-karat pure gold anklet. That evening, while we were relaxing on the sofa, I playfully rested my leg across his lap, letting the gold chain brush against his bare wrist. Marcus violently shuddered. He pulled away so fast he nearly flipped the coffee table, his eyes wide and glossy with unshed tears. From that day on, he completely stopped initiating physical contact. No more cuddling, no more holding hands. Even our goodnight routine was reduced to a distant, awkward wave from across the room. At first, I thought he was just throwing a tantrum because I ignored his advice. But after 48 hours of watching him hover around me like a panicked bodyguard, I knew better. Especially after a wealthy senior partner at our software firm tried to flirt with me. Marcus completely lost his mind. He began shadowing me everywhere, waiting outside my meeting rooms, sitting at the tech support desk across from my cubicle, even escorting me to the break room. "Don't you have a major coding architecture to review?" I asked, looking at his completely empty hands. "Are you writing software with your mind?" He ignored the sarcasm. "I am optimizing my presence." He desperately wanted to hold me, but he didn't dare. He was miserable, bottling it up until his eyes looked perpetually bloodshot. After 2 weeks of this agonizing dance, I snapped. As he escorted me to my apartment door, lingering awkwardly, I grabbed his tie and yanked him into a tight, fierce hug, pressing my gold-clad ankle directly against his leg. Marcus went rigid. A soft, pained gasp escaped his throat, and actual tears spilled down his face. I panicked and let go. "What's wrong? Did I hurt you?" He covered his leg, trembling violently. "It burns. The chain. It's pure gold." I froze. Deep-sea mythical creatures and pure gold, ancient lore always said precious metals or heavy elements from the Earth's crust could paralyze or burn them. He had endured agonizing physical pain for 2 weeks just to stay close to me without admitting his secret. I took a deep breath. "You're some kind of ocean dweller, aren't you? A kraken? A sea siren?" He became entirely motionless. The absolute, eerie stillness of a creature trying to blend into the coral. His eyes turned a deep, bioluminescent shade of blue. "Are you?" His voice was a ragged whisper. "Are you terrified of me?" "I've known for months, you absolute dork," I sighed. He blinked. Every single artificial human reflex he had been practicing, the fake breathing, the slight fidgeting, instantly vanished. "How long?" The rippling shadow was a dead giveaway. "Plus, you literally look like a watercolor smudge in every photo I take. And you ate that heavily salted seafood platter with my dad looking like a soldier marching to the gallows." Marcus slowly lowered his hands. His perfect, sharp face was a chaotic mix of intense relief, burning embarrassment, and raw emotion. "You knew, and you didn't call the authorities? You didn't buy a harpoon?" I shrugged. "You're my boyfriend. You choked down salt for me. That's basically the highest form of romance." A sound escaped him, a choked sob disguised as a rough cough. Then he lunged forward, scooping me up so effortlessly my head nearly hit the ceiling. "Put me down." I laughed. He set me down, but instantly gripped my hand like a lifeline. I had a whole speech prepared. 30 different versions. What happened to the speech? "You called sea monsters oversized rubbery bait, and I panicked." The next day, I bought him a pair of bright blue flannel pajamas covered in cartoon squids wearing little top hats. I presented them at breakfast with absolute gravity. He stared at them. "These are squid pajamas." "They are. I am a creature of the abyss. A leviathan of the deep." He picked up the shirt, examining a tiny squid wearing a monocle. He seemed to lose his train of thought. "This one is wearing formal eyewear." "A very sophisticated mollusk," I agreed. He wore them that night. He looked completely ridiculous, but he also turned up the apartment's humidity control because he noticed my skin was dry, meaning he'd been visually tracking my hydration levels for a year. By the 3rd month of our openly supernatural relationship, his family intervened. It started with a tense corporate phone call that left him looking pale as a ghost, followed by days of intense clinging. Finally, I accidentally saw a text on his phone written in a bizarrely archaic script. "We land on Thursday. The matter of the surface girl must be resolved." Your board of directors is coming Thursday, I announced at dinner. He looked up from the bowl of unsalted broth he was pretending to sip. They are a bit traditional about bloodlines. They will say things, Elena. But I need you to know. Marcus, I interrupted. I survived your iodized salt panic. I can handle some angry corporate sea deities. They arrived Thursday evening. There were 4 of them, his strictly tailored parents, an older brother named Silas, and an ancient-looking advisor. They possessed that same uncanny, too-still corporate perfection, smelling faintly of ozone and deep ocean trenches. They looked at me like a performance review gone wrong. We have reviewed the data on you, his mother said coldly. Did I pass? I asked. Silas stepped forward, his eyes scanning me like a glitching piece of code. You are completely mortal. Fragile. Temporary. You look about 30, I countered. Are you 300? 3,000. An icy silence filled the room. The ancient advisor turned to Marcus. This attachment is illogical. She will wither. It always ends in systemic failure for our kind. If you finish that sentence, Marcus said, his voice dropping to a terrifying, subsonic frequency that made the window panes vibrate, I will liquidate every asset this family owns on land. I have been patient. But if anyone else calls her a phase or a mistake, I am deleting myself from the corporate ledger permanently. Understood. His mother looked at his father. Silas stared at the ceiling. I stepped forward, grabbed Marcus by his tie, and pulled him down into a fierce, breathless kiss right in front of his ancient, stunned family. It was the supernatural equivalent of flipping a boardroom table. When I pulled back, his eyes were glowing bright blue. The family left in stunned silence. But 3 days later, Silas returned to the loft alone. He stopped feeding properly a year ago, Silas admitted, looking incredibly uncomfortable. When he met you, he decided he didn't want to be a monster you'd fear. He stopped hunting. He's been surviving on synthetic kelp substitutes and weak ocean mist. He is at barely 20% capacity. He's incredibly weak. My heart dropped. He did that for me? He would kill me for telling you, Silas muttered. But he has been waiting a very long time to find something worth being careful with. That evening, I found Marcus sitting at his desk, staring intensely at a software blueprint without moving a single muscle. I walked over and shut his laptop. Silas came by, I said. You starved yourself. You threw away your strength just so I wouldn't find you intimidating. Marcus stared at his hands. You weren't afraid of me. I wanted to keep it that way. That wasn't your choice to make, I said softly, taking his freezing hands in mine. Stop hiding what you are. I'm not scared of you. You were terrified of my squid jokes, Marcus. You blinked like a broken strobe light. He sighed, deflating. You are incredibly stubborn. By the way, that laptop folder? I added 8 more entries to How to Make Her Laugh last week. There are 31 now. By the 5th month, the corporate clan tried one last desperate move, an arranged merger with a powerful oceanic shipping dynasty. A non-mortal billionaire heiress. They're going to strip your titles, I noted as he read through the legal threats. Yes. Your executive stock options? Your inheritance. Already signed them away. I said no within 3 seconds of reading the email. He turned a page in his book. You're the most dramatic executive I have ever met. I am decisive, he corrected smoothly. As it turned out, Marcus was the true anchor of their entire enterprise. When he walked away, their complex global logistical alliances began to fracture. By month 7, Silas was back on our doorstep, looking exhausted. The board wants Marcus back, Silas admitted to me while Marcus was in the kitchen measuring the exact optimal temperature for my tea. On his terms. They'll accept the situation. No, Marcus called out from the kitchen. Silas looked at me pleadingly. He would do it if you asked him to. I know, I replied, watching Marcus carefully bring over my mug. That's exactly why I'm never going to ask. Years drifted by in that beautiful, chaotic rhythm. Marcus remained entirely unhinged in the most protective way. He still panicked over minor paper cuts, sprinting across the room at Mach speed to apply a specific brand of bandage he kept stocked in every room. He shadowed me to industry conferences, sitting stealthily in the back row. He even learned to cook from online tutorials, annotating culinary textbooks like software code. The results were occasionally disastrous, but he kept trying because he wanted me to have perfect meals. One night, while we were watching the city lights reflect off the rainy bay, he asked the question. "I want forever with you," he whispered, staring at our joined hands. If someday you wanted me to change you, to bring you into the deep." I leaned against his cold shoulder. "Not right now. I'm 26 and I want to see what 30 is like first. But keep the offer open. I'll let you know." He let out a breath, pressing his face into my hair. Okay. We went out for our anniversary a few weeks later. The waiter, making polite small talk, remarked on how perfectly in sync we seemed. "She thinks I'm a giant squid," Marcus told him with a completely straight face, before breaking into a rare, uncalculated smile. "She's also the absolute best thing that has ever happened to me." Loving a creature of the deep wasn't the hard part. The gold jewelry adjustments, the humidity negotiations, the 31 humor entries, the ridiculous top hat squid pajamas, that was a lot. But him? I had him figured out from day one. He was just mine. The rest was details. What do you think? Did the corporate elders get what they deserved for trying to control him, or should Marcus have liquidated their entire empire? Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more corporate romance and supernatural drama.